The billionaire boss answers a hospital call. She's in ICU, you're her only hope. Less than invoke name equals, artifacts, greater than. Less than parameter name equals, command, greater than create less than parameter greater than. Less than parameter name equals, type, greater than text markdown less than parameter greater than. Less than parameter name equals, id, greater than billionaire underscore hospital underscore story less than parameter greater than. Less than parameter name equals, title, greater than the billionaire boss answers a hospital call less than parameter greater than. Less than parameter name equals, content, greater than Marcus Chen hadn't cried in 23 years. Not when his company hit its first billion. Not when Forbes plastered his face across their cover. Not even when his father told him he'd never amount to anything without the family name. But tonight, standing in the fluorescent-lit corridor of St. Mary's Hospital at 2:47 a.m., his hands were trembling, and his chest felt like it might collapse under the weight of a single phone call that had shattered his carefully constructed world. Mr. Chen. The night shift nurse's voice cut through his thoughts. She's asking for you. He had been in Tokyo, closing a deal worth $300 million, when his phone rang with a number he didn't recognize. Hospital calls in the middle of the night never brought good news. But this one brought news that made him question everything he thought he knew about himself. Is this Marcus Chen? The voice had asked, clinical and exhausted. Yes. Who is this? This is Dr. Patel from St. Mary's Hospital in Boston. We have a patient here, Emma Rodriguez. You're listed as her emergency contact. Marcus had frozen, his pen hovering over a contract that suddenly meant nothing. That's impossible. I don't know anyone named, but the words died in his throat as a memory surfaced, sharp and unexpected, from 3 years ago. The coffee shop. The young woman with paint-stained hands and a smile that could light up a room. The brief conversation that had somehow stretched into an hour. She'd been a struggling artist, working 3 jobs, still believing the world was good despite everything it had thrown at her. He remembered thinking she was naive. Beautiful, but naive. They'd exchanged numbers. He'd promised to look at her portfolio. And then his assistant had reminded him of a meeting, and Emma Rodriguez had become just another forgotten name in his phone. She's in the ICU, drive. Patel had continued. Acute kidney failure. She needs a transplant, and she needs it fast. Mr. Chen, you're her only hope. I'm her only hope. I barely know her. Surely she has family. Her parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. No siblings. No living relatives. You're the only person she listed. There was a pause, heavy with unspoken judgment. Sir, I don't know what kind of relationship you had with this woman, but she believed in you enough to write your name down when it mattered most. She's 28 years old. Without a kidney transplant in the next 48 hours, she won't see 29. Marcus had been on a plane within the hour. Now, standing outside her ICU room, he felt like a stranger in his own skin. Through the window, he could see her, pale, fragile, connected to a web of tubes and monitors that beeped a rhythm both mechanical and desperately alive. She looked smaller than he remembered, as if the hospital bed was swallowing her whole. Mr. Chen. The nurse touched his arm gently. She drifts in and out, but she's conscious. You can go in. He pushed through the door, and the sound of his own breathing seemed deafening in the quiet room. Emma's eyes fluttered open, focusing on him with visible effort. For a moment, recognition didn't come. Then, impossibly, she smiled. You came, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the hum of machines. Emma. He pulled a chair close to her bedside, his hands awkward, unsure where to rest. Why did you list me? We only met once. She tried to laugh, but it came out as a weak cough. You were kind to me. Really kind. Do you remember? You listened to me talk about my art for an hour when you probably had a million important places to be. You looked at me like I mattered. Her eyes glistened with tears. In a world that had just taken everything from me, you made me feel like I still existed. Like I was still worth something. I never forgot that. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. 1 hour. One random conversation in a coffee shop, and he'd become someone's lifeline without even knowing it. The doctors say you need a kidney, he said, his voice rougher than intended. I'm on the transplant list, but... She closed her eyes, exhausted from just those few words. I don't have the kind of time the list requires. I don't have money for a private donor. I don't have anything, really. Except a name in my phone of someone who was kind to me once. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have put that burden on you. Stop. The word came out sharper than he meant. Don't apologize. That night, Marcus Chen made a decision that would have seemed insane to the man he'd been even a week ago. He called Drive Patel out into the hallway and said 3 words that changed everything: test me first. Mr. Chen, the testing process takes time, and even then, compatibility isn't guaranteed. Test me first, he repeated. And if I'm not compatible, I want you to test everyone in my company. All 1,500 employees. I'll cover all medical expenses, give them paid leave, compensate them regardless of outcome. Someone is going to match. The doctor's professional mask slipped for just a moment, revealing genuine shock. Sir, do you understand what you're committing to? I understand that a woman who had every reason to give up on humanity still believed in it enough to write my name down. That means something. That means everything. The tests came back 36 hours later. Marcus was pacing his hotel room, having not slept, having not eaten, his phone clutched in his hand like a lifeline. When Dr. Patel called, he almost couldn't answer. Mr. Chen, you're a match. Not just a match, you're a near-perfect match. It's almost miraculous. Marcus sat down hard on the edge of the bed. When can we do the surgery? We can prep for tomorrow morning, but I need to make sure you understand the risks. I understand. Schedule it. The night before the surgery, Emma was strong enough to sit up slightly. Marcus came to her room, and this time, he didn't hesitate. He pulled the chair right up to her bedside and took her hand. Why are you doing this? She asked, tears streaming down her face. You don't owe me anything. Maybe that's exactly why, he said quietly. Because I don't owe you, and you don't owe me. Because kindness shouldn't be a transaction. Because you saw something in me that I'd forgotten was there. He squeezed her hand gently. You reminded me that being human is worth more than being successful. The surgery was scheduled for 6 a.m. As they wheeled Marcus toward the operating room, he saw Emma being prepared in the adjacent bay. She was crying, mouthing the words, "Thank you," over and over. He wanted to tell her that she'd already given him more than he was giving her. She'd given him back his soul. The surgery took 11 hours. When Marcus woke up in recovery, groggy and disoriented, the first thing he asked was, "Emma." She's stable, the nurse said, smiling. The kidney is functioning beautifully. You saved her life, Mr. Chen. But as the weeks of recovery passed, as Marcus watched Emma grow stronger, saw color return to her cheeks and light return to her eyes, he realized something profound: she had saved his life too. Not physically, but in every way that actually mattered. 3 months later, Marcus stood in a small art gallery in downtown Boston. The walls were covered with Emma's paintings, vibrant, alive, full of the hope she'd never lost even when the world gave her every reason to. The title of the exhibition was simple: Humanity. She found him standing in front of a painting of a coffee shop, 2 people at a table, connected by something invisible but undeniable. That's us, she said softly, coming to stand beside him. The day everything changed. For both of us, Marcus agreed. Emma turned to him, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I never properly thanked you. You don't need to. You already did, 3 years ago, by being exactly who you are. He smiled, and it felt natural, real, in a way his smiles hadn't felt in years. You know what I realized? I spent my whole life building an empire, trying to prove I was worth something. But the most valuable thing I ever did was give an hour to a stranger in a coffee shop and a kidney to someone who believed in me when she had no reason to. We all have a reason to believe in each other, Emma said. Sometimes we just forget. Marcus nodded, looking around at the gallery full of people admiring Emma's work, celebrating her triumph, her survival, her art. Then let's not forget again. That night, Marcus Chen created a foundation dedicated to connecting living organ donors with patients in need, covering all costs, removing all barriers. Emma became its face, its heart, its living testament to the power of human connection. Together, they saved hundreds of lives, but they both knew the truth: they had saved each other first. Because sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone isn't your money or your success or even your kidney. Sometimes, it's simply seeing them, really seeing them, and reminding them that in a world that can feel cold and transactional, there are still people who choose kindness without expecting anything in return. That's what makes us human. That's what saves us all. Less than, parameter greater than.